Alright, so this is Ramen and A Half, and of course here's yours truly, the Eddie, and my man Ramon behind the camera. Of course, we are here at CFA, Comic Figure Addicts, with the owner right here, Juan. Alright, so yeah, thanks for having us today.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we just wanted to ask you a few questions about your shop, and a couple fun questions about comic books in general, and then. So, first off, what made you guys want to open a comic book shop, especially in, like, you know, this bad economy and that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff going on?
Okay, well, I've always wanted to own my own comic store. For a few years now, I had that idea just in the back of my head. But it was one of those things that later on in life, you know, once I retire and all that, do it as a hobby, you know, just so I'm not sitting at home not doing anything, watching The Price is Right or something. So I always had it in the back of my mind. I had a friend that owned a comic store, and I would always ask him questions, you know, about it, how he ran it, did things and stuff like that. So it just, you know, made my knowledge about it bigger and bigger and bigger.
So you picked up everything from
you know, he kind of mentored me. So just, you know, put it in the back of my mind, like I said, until later on. I was a school teacher originally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But like you said, the economy the way it is, the first people that get kind of screwed out of jobs is teachers. So I went from, you know, full-time to part-time to on-call to maybe having 3 or 4 days a month. So it wasn't cutting it. So I would do odd jobs here and there. Christmas I took a part-time job at Toys R Us. I've always been a collector. Since before I could read, I had a comic book in my hand.
How old were you when you first started looking at your earliest memory?
My dad, well, I don't necessarily remember. My dad was telling me, told me, I was like 3 years old. I didn't even know how to do anything for myself, but I was there flipping through comic books. So, and somewhere supposedly there's a picture of me in the bathroom with a comic book. So that's probably one of the earliest memories. And I mean, comics just taught me so many things. I learned my interest in drawing was from comic books, seeing the images and then just, hey, I want to recreate that. So I would just sit down with a comic, draw the picture from a book, and self-taught myself how to do that. So, like I was saying, with the economy, it was my hours were getting cut, and talking to my girlfriend, it was one of those things of, well, why put it off? If I can do it now, just go for it, you know, live in the dream, you get one life type of thing. So I looked into it, it was doable. So, you know, the first half of this year, I was just hoarding and stockpiling stuff, going to Porter's, stores that were closing, buying furniture, fixtures, stuff like that, you know, because I don't have an endless bank account. So, I mean, if I wanted to open a store and had enough funds, I could buy everything brand new. So, I would go to, like I said, Porter's, Toys R Us when it was closing, other stores that were closing, and just pick up as many fixtures as I could for cheap, Craigslist, stuff like that. You know, building a store on a budget. So I just kept that all in the garage, and then when the time came, then I'm like, I think I got enough fixtures, enough stuff, because most of the stuff in the store, aside from the newer books, are all stuff from my collection. Stuff that I've accumulated over the years. Like, one of my things that I used to do a lot is eBay and toy shows. That's how I supplemented, you know, not getting as much work as I did, was I always had that on the side as a hobby. So, I mean, collecting is a really expensive hobby, so my mentality was always like, well, if I can pick up an extra one and sell it off or trade it for something that I need or get part of mine paid for, I'm all for it, you know. So that's how it kind of came off, and that's how I kind of got the store going.
Nice. So now we are in the 21st century now, and internet has taken over. So how do you feel about all these digital comics suddenly coming into the mix?
I mean, some people say, oh, it'll kill the, you know, the comic books, you know, kind of like newspapers and magazines are going out. I don't know, because I think there's still that hardcore people that like the fact of collecting it. I mean, a digital copy it's in your hard drive.
Yeah.
But it's nothing physical that you can be like, I own this. Or, I mean, your hard drive screws up and then you don't have it anymore. Yeah, and nobody can autograph, what are you going to do, a CD and be like, hey, can you sign this?
Digital copy.
Yeah, so, I think there's a lot of people that still like the fact of an actual comic in their hand.
Yeah.
That they can flip through, see pictures, like you said, go get them signed. And also there's that hope that that comic will be worth something. So I don't think it's gonna necessarily kill or hurt that much. A comic store. But it'll help because there's, like you said, there's people that like the digital copy. It's easier for them on their iPads and stuff. So there's a new program coming out that comic stores will be able to sell digital copies.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking into that too.
Alright. So now, how do you feel about all of the reboots and stuff coming out? Like DC,
the DC 52,
the new 52, and then there's also the whole Marvel thing with the Regenesis X-Men, stuff like that.
Well, at least with the X-Men Regenesis, I mean, they're not starting off from scratch. Still the same characters. They just kind of splintered off into their own teams. Wolverine started his own school. Cyclops, kind of dealing with all the bad guys now and stuff like that. With the DC stuff, it was a little bit harder for me to swallow because DC, over the years, they've restarted and, all the different Earths and Infinite Crisis. It seems more kind of like a little bit of a marketing ploy, and who knows that maybe a year, 2 years from now when it's kind of run its course, we're back to the old timeline, whatever it is. So we'll see. I mean, the sales have been doing good. Everyone's excited about it. It's a great starting off point for people that, weren't necessarily following DC or comic books. It's a great time to just jump back into it. A lot of people that haven't seen comics lately have been coming in here and be like, Superman. He looks younger. His suit's different. Didn't he have a belt? Where's the red underwear? I'm like, oh, well, they're redesigning it, and, kind of explaining to them what's going on. So at first I was kind of skeptical about it. I mean, it's like I said, DC just has a tendency of doing that a lot.
Alright, so now for a couple fun questions. Well, in the history of comic books and comic superheroes, a lot of them die.
Okay.
And a lot of them come back. So how do you deal with it? How do you explain that? I mean, Batman, I'm sure, has died at one point.
I mean, it used to be said the only two people that stay dead are Uncle Ben and Bucky. And Bucky kind of got crossed off that list a few years ago when the soldier came back. But now he's dead again, so will he stay dead again?
He's just like Captain America Civil War. He got shot in the head, and now he's back.
Well, he got shot, but then he got taken out of his body, and he was in some other form reliving, Groundhog Day style his life over and over. So, I mean, they'll always find a loophole to ring. I'm sure that any day now we're going to be like, oh, look at this. They've already started Fantastic Four 600. We're starting calling it Fantastic Four again. So it's like, so we'll see. It's just funny. I mean, again, anything to make a buck, right?
This is actually a question Ramon had. A comic book hero that is getting a lot of heat lately, especially on Robot Chicken and stuff, and all these little comedy shows, whatever, Family Guy. Aquaman, why do people hate him so much? Why is he getting
I don't know if... I can't really say anything because I've never been a fan of Aquaman.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, he's the king of Atlantis. That has to... I mean, Neymar doesn't get that, and Neymar's kind of almost the same thing, right?
Yeah,
so,
on the Marvel side. But
I don't know, people just make fun of him because all he can do is talk to fish.
He was pretty badass in the Justice League animated cartoon.
Yeah, because he was more like a king, he wasn't like, oh, hey guys, can I go? He took command, and I think maybe if they did that a little bit more, he'd get that respect.
Alright, well, thanks for having us again today, and do you want to promote your grand opening?
So our grand opening is November 5th, this Saturday. Technically we're open right now. There's people buying the new books this week, but our grand opening is this Saturday. We were trying to get a couple things together, some surprises. We're still crossing our fingers that they'll show up. But we'll have cupcakes and cookies and who doesn't like that stuff, right? Comics, cupcakes, and cookies. And we'll have a good sale too. Everything in the store will be at least 20% off.
Awesome.
So much.
If you can, just like leak your information, contact info or something. Do you have like a website somewhere fans can get a hold of?
We have a Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, which nowadays is a given. Everyone has to have that stuff to get the word out. Our website is CFAddicts.com. You'll find our hours and links to our Facebook, Twitter, and all that on there too, and our phone number and directions if you need them.
Alright, there you go. So here we are, Ramen and a Half on location at CFA. Thanks again for having us.
Thanks, guys.
For opening a place for little kids like my sister can go to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you have any more places like this in the world? Alright.